The 1999 Upper Deck set is best known for the iconic Ken Griffey Jr. rookie, but the other important rookie in this set is, of course, Randy Johnson's. His card in PSA 10 isn't exactly rare. If you take a look at the PSA population report, out of 27,000 submissions, there are 4,092 that have been graded in a 10. So about 1 out of every 7 of these cards that's graded has come back a 10. So a pretty low percentage for this card. So that's part of the reason why this card um, has suddenly spiked in price. As you see today, it's for sale at $139. It's about roughly the same price on eBay as of this video. But what I wanted to show you guys today is just how quickly this card's market has exploded. So the end of last year, the end of 2019, this was regularly a $50 card. And even on March 30th, ThePit had a copy sold for $46. But just not even a month later, the same card, and there another one of the same cards sold for $60. A day later, it was $69.95. And then another day later, it was $75. The next day, it was up to $85. Then 4 days later, $95. The next day, $105. And as you can see, as May began, it started picking up even more, 110, 115, 125, and now to its current price of 130. So pretty incredible how this card has just absolutely skyrocketed in price. But I mean, it's fair to say that when you look at the Ken Griffey Jr. card, which is certainly over $1,000 now, this card is still essentially a tenth of the value of the Ken Griffey Jr., which, if you look at the population report for the Ken Griffey Jr., there's actually fewer PSA 10s of the Ken Griffey Jr. than there are of the of the rated Johnsons. And you can tell that even though there's far more graded, there's even fewer PSA 10. So that's part of the reason for the huge price jump in the Ken Griffey Jr. Now, come to think of it, I mean, is this card really worth 10 times what the Randy Johnson rookie is? I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, if you look at just at how few of these there are compared to the Randy Johnsons, I mean, the Randy Johnsons are 1 in 7, and these are, let's see, probably around 1 in, we had a round here, probably 1 in 18, so they are significantly more rare. So, however, it basically means that this card's market is going to be tied to whatever the Ken Griffey Jr. does. So if the Ken Griffey Jr. continues to rise in price, it's likely that we'll see the Randy Johnsons also rise in price. I don't know that we'll ever see this card be worth over $1,000, but I think that there's certainly with the way things have been moving lately in the vintage card market. And yes, 89 would be considered a vintage card, even though, of course, it was known as an era of overproduction, simply because these cards are just so difficult to get in a 10 percentage-wise. I mean, the fact that you can only get one, if you were to send 7 of these in, most likely you'd only get 110. And of course, as we have heard, PSA has become very stingy at giving out 10s on certain cards, especially the Ken Griffey Jr. I'm not sure if they're so stingy on the Randy Johnson, but definitely that's something to keep in mind. So if you have a whole bunch of these sitting around, it is worth getting them graded, especially now that PSA is open again. It is worth getting them graded, especially if you have a bunch and you have a good chance at some 10s. Just do keep in mind that if you get a PSA 9, the price is certainly much lower, around $22. However, the good news about the PSA 9s is that this card a year ago was probably around $10, and now it's selling for around $20. So this card has also seen a doubling in price. So even getting a PSA 9 at this point allows you to even if you just break even on the 9s and you get a 10, you've still made some money. So that's the good news about these Randy Johnson cards. So part of the reason that you haven't seen very many of these graded is simply because the PSA 9s weren't really worth it until very recently. In fact, let's take a look at the PSA 9 sales history real quick. and you'll see that yes, even back in April, this card was bought for $10, and very quickly has moved up since then to around $19. So, so there's definitely a lot of movement on these cards. So what do you guys think? Do you think that it's now worth actually sending in these Randy Johnsons if you happen to have any for grading? I would say yes, simply because once PSA 9s kind of reach that $20 price point, especially with the 10 being worth upwards of $120, $130, I would say that this is a card that we're going to start seeing more graded in the future. But because only 1 out of 7 have historically gotten 10s, I don't expect necessarily, even if a whole bunch of these get graded, I don't necessarily expect the 10s to drop much in price. Maybe not even the 9s. I think that maybe finally we're going to be seeing this rookie card get its due. So let me know what you guys think of these Randy Johnson rookies and other rookies from the '89 Upper Deck set. Love to hear your thoughts, especially with the Gary Sheffield and John Smoltz cards as well. So stay tuned for more market mover reports. Happy collecting, everyone.